As I rise to speak about Amendment 1311, the Hire Americans Amendment, Hire Americans First Amendment, which I hope to call up later. Nearly 8% of Americans are unemployed or underemployed, and our immigration policy obviously must be a jobs policy. Any successful immigration plan must take a closer look at the H-1B program, which serves an important but specific and limited purpose. The H-1B visa was created so businesses, particularly in high tech, but not exclusively that, so businesses could recruit foreign workers to help fill the void created by a lack of American workers with those specific skills. Yet this bill comes to the floor. As this bill comes to the floor, something very important was excluded. The bill lacks a requirement, which was in earlier versions of the bill, that employers hire an equally or better qualified American worker when one is available, rather than a potential H-1B worker. I'll repeat that. The bill lacks a requirement that employers hire a qualified, equally or better qualified American worker when one is available, rather than a potential H-1B foreign worker. With this bill, we're enshrining a process without this amendment that allows companies to pass over skilled Americans for foreign workers after they've been required to actually actively recruit those Americans. So the bill has provisions to recruit Americans for these jobs that might have gone to an H-1B foreign worker, but it falls short, doesn't require the employer to actually, after going through that process, to actually hire the American worker who is as qualified or better qualified than the H-1B foreign worker. This approach only undermines support for the H-1B program, as it will be seen as a tool to avoid hiring American workers. Understand what the American public, as they start to kind of understand and digest the provisions of this purported new law, of this legislation, when they hear that, yes, companies have to recruit and look for American workers, but in the end, even if the American worker is as qualified or more qualified, the company is under no obligation to actually hire the American. Senator Grassley has been a champion in the fight to end H-1B abuse. That is why I'm proud to join Senator Grassley in our bipartisan amendment to introduce the H-1B and L-1 Visa Fraud and Abuse Prevention Act of 2013. The H-1B program should only be used when there's no qualified worker available in the United States. That's clearly what the American people overwhelmingly say they want, that the program should only be used when there's no qualified worker available here. This amendment would increase protections to workers by requiring that employers only hire H-1B workers, as I've said before, when there's no equally qualified or better qualified American. This amendment would make sure that a worker from Wuhan won't be hired at the expense of a qualified engineer or scientist from Elyria or Sylvania, Ohio. It means ensuring that American companies seek out, find, and hire skilled American workers before seeking visas for foreign workers. But that's not included in this version. The bill we're debating on the Senate floor, in this version of the immigration bill. The bill in its current form simply says companies have to look for qualified Americans. It doesn't require them to actually hire the equally qualified or better qualified American when they find a chemist in Cleveland or a computer scientist in Salina. The underlying bill increases the number of H-1B eligible visas. That's fine. But it also cracks down on employers who take advantage of the system. But without the requirement to also hire qualified U.S. workers, the recruitment steps simply mean standing on an escalator that leads to nowhere. So again, Mr. President, what this legislation now says is that companies that want that consider H-1B visa hires need to recruit Americans, but the bill falls short of saying if the American is as qualified or more qualified, that they need to hire that American. If they're qualified Americans who can do the work, there's simply no need to fill a post with an H-1B worker. Passing this amendment, the Brown-Grassley amendment, also co-sponsored by Senator Sessions, a Republican from Alabama, and Senator Manchin, a Democrat from West Virginia. The Hire America's First Amendment is important in fixing that. Mr. President, I yield the floor.